Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining our Q3 Battlefield call. As Q3 is coming to a really quick close, we're really excited to share some useful information with you guys that hopefully is going to make this a really successful quarter for Autodesk and DLT and all of our partners. So jumping right in for today's speakers, for those of you that might be joining us for the first time, my name is Megan Shoemaker, and I'm the Digital Design Channel Development Rep. We also have Kaylee on the line, who is our Marketing Campaign Manager at DLT. And then lastly, we're really grateful to have Kirk Divine join us as well, who is the Federal Sales Manager at Autodesk. Just a really quick agenda for you guys. I'm going to cover our channel and sales update as usual. Kaylee is going to cover our marketing update, which has a ton of content on what we've been focusing on marketing-wise this quarter. And then lastly, Kirk is going to share a federal fiscal year-end wrap-up and summary and share some key insights for Q4 and beyond. Okay, so our channel and sales update. So first we have our Better Together program update. So just wanted to put a notice out. I'm going to be scheduling our Q3 QBRs. I'm aiming for the third week in November. So if you're in the Better Together program, just keep an eye out for those invitations. And if they don't work for some reason, please let me know, and always happy to adjust those. And then just a friendly reminder, wanted to bring up our partnership with Bruce Milligan at White Lake Consulting, because as many of you know, we have found just a ton of success in our partnership with Bruce and are really excited to extend that resource to all of our partners. So Bruce can help your sales team with anything like sales plays and playbooks, mentoring, training. So if you're interested in taking advantage of that partnership, please feel free to reach out to Bruce or I, and we can help get that set up for you all. And then lastly, just wanted to make a quick point that usually we only host our Battlefield calls quarterly, but this year I am going to be hosting a November call. And we're doing that because I want to highlight some upcoming changes that are coming in our partner program for next year. So this will be an important call for everyone to join. So just wanted to give a notice of that, and please keep an eye out for the registration. We'll be sending that out early November. So for our federal public sector update, wanted to highlight the continuing resolution through December the 11th, because this actually can have a really positive impact to our business in many ways. So I'm sure many of you are aware of this and you know its implications, and this is going to be until early December, and basically means the agencies are still able to spend their budget number from last year. But just because agencies are under a continuing resolution, that doesn't, necessarily mean that they can't purchase new seats of software or renew their existing seats of subscription or maintenance, because most of the dollars that these agencies are spending on Autodesk software either come from O&M budgets or existing programs of record. So this won't necessarily impact that. And this actually brings a really key time for us all to focus on federal prospecting for kind of three main reasons. One, the pressure from FFYE has kind of passed. Procurements are always tend to be really bogged down during that time, so they might have a little bit more availability now that September is over. And some of our customers have access to O&M budget and could potentially be ready to buy now with that budget that they're able to use through December. And then some of the customers, they might have to wait until this is over, but then it's a good time to prospect and kind of get those deals in the pipeline if those funds for those customers will become available in January. So hopefully this kind of helps you all understand the continuing resolution a little more and how we can hopefully take advantage of it. So for our state and local update, this is some graphs that we got from GovWin. It's a resource that DLT really likes to use, and they have some really strong state and local data. So on the left-hand side, you're going to see the SLED project count over time, and you'll see that there's a pretty steep decline between Q2 of 2019 and Q2 of 2020. It's about a full 20% lower than last year's rate. So that decline was about negative 25.8%. And obviously we can kind of assume many of that is because of the impacts of COVID, because it's really hitting our state and local market pretty heavily. But then on the right-hand side, you will see the historical trends by agency. So I wanted to really point out the dark blue line, which represents the state governments. Those bids decreased at a lesser degree than the education and local governments. So GovWin highlighted that this could be because state buyers tend to operate on a 2-year budget, and they tend to issue a more steady and just predictable stream of bids every year. And overall, state governments also rely on a larger scale and more flexible contract types. So historically, we do see a little bit more volatility among local and education governments because they tend to emphasize very specific and sometimes smaller one-time purchases. So I thought this was just useful information for you all to be aware of during this time, because you potentially could have a little bit more success prospecting into those state governments versus the education and local. So for our DLT update, as always, just wanted to highlight the metrics from our corporate call blitzes. So our October blitz was actually one of our strongest blitzes to date, with 914 calls, a little over 20 hours of talk time, 23 lead passes, which is a really strong number for one day of effort, and close to 70K in pipeline. So really successful, and really thank our team for the efforts there. And then just wanted to put the November Blitz date on y'all's calendars, since we do ask our team to solely focus on outbound activity on those Blitz days. And then on the right-hand side, wanted to highlight some of the government pricing updates. So first, a friendly reminder, DLT can sell multi-user licenses indefinitely, but this does, customer does forego their opportunity to take advantage of the 2-for-1 trade-in if they take advantage of this option. So just a good thing to communicate to your customers, make sure that they know that they are giving that up. But along with that, Autodesk has created the option for extended offline part numbers. So essentially, these are single user subscription licenses with an annual validation requirement. So the standard single user licenses do have a monthly requirement. So this can, help alleviate that for some of our customers if they have trouble connecting to the internet on a monthly basis. So these do just have an annual requirement. But if your customers just have trouble connecting to the internet at all, then the multi-user licenses might be a better option for them at this time. But this is a really good option if the customer is able to meet that annual validation requirement. So these are available on the DLT price list now. So please feel free to reach out to your DLT rep if you have a customer that's interested in seeing pricing for that option. So next, we're really excited to announce that DLT has been awarded the ITEZ SW2 contract. And this is really exciting because it can play a really significant role in our business moving forward, because this contract actually will take precedence over both ESI and GSA for the Army. So it's open for ordering to all DoD and federal agencies, and it's going to be managed by the Army. And the scope of the contract includes both software and software maintenance. So we're working to make sure that all Autodesk products and SKUs are available on the contract, except for cloud offerings will not be available. So basically everything on the non-standard price list will be excluded from this contract. But our federal team has a really full understanding of it. So please feel free to reach out to your DLT rep if you have any federal customers that this contract might help them meet any requirement for their procurement. And lastly, for my section, DLT has started hosting market knowledge webinars and are making this available to all of our partners across DLT. So I wanted to just highlight two that we have coming up this month. So first, we have our CMS overview led by our strategic market director, Louis Dorsey. So that session is going to highlight CMS's goals, organizational structure, and their budget as well. And then the next one we have is the Intelligence Community 101 webinar with Mark Harris. And that one's going to highlight the intelligence community and what their key missions are. So I did include those in the newsletter for this month. But if you need an additional copy of that, please feel free to just reach out to me and I'm happy to send the registration over. Okay, so that's it for my section. So I will hand it over to Kaylee for the marketing campaigns.
Thank you, Megan. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you.
Excellent. My name is Kaylee Kahan. I am the marketing campaign manager. So I wanted to spend a few moments today going over current campaigns, some upcoming campaigns, as well as speaking quickly to GovDesignHub and some events we have coming up. So first I want to review the campaigns that we ran in Q3 and a few that are coming up in Q4. And then we'll touch on GovDesignHub, upcoming events and opportunities with those, and then just a quick reminder on industry memberships and what that offers everyone. So as a quick recap, in September and October, we ran quite a few campaigns. Obviously, we had a big push to focus on the federal fiscal year end. We did 3 email sends and 6 weeks of posting on social media, as well as driving traffic to a landing page where people could submit a request for a quote. So that was really successful. We had a lot of leads come through that. And that was the campaign in a box for September that all of you should have received. I'm not sure how many of you ended up running it on your own, but I would love any feedback from you on what you found helpful, what you think could be improved. Really, the goal with those campaigns in a box is just to provide all of you with additional content as part of our Better Together program to make sure that we're supporting you when it comes to having additional marketing content that you can use to generate leads and increase brand awareness. Other campaigns that we ran in September and October, we did the webinar promotion for Autodesk InfraWorks for mobility simulation, which you can see the top social media posts, Reimagining Journeys. And then for October, we are working on the BIM 360 for capital improvements. So this campaign is going to focus on state, local, and education and how capital improvement projects that are at the municipal government level can leverage BIM 360 to enable a collaborative real-time data workflow. And that will be the campaign in a box that goes out to all of you by the end of the month. And that was mentioned in the newsletter that you guys received last week. And then the other focus is we're just pushing through those renewals again. So for SLED, making sure that people who have renewals coming up in the next 30, 60, or 90 days are aware of the need to upgrade or renew their software and how we can support them in that. In terms of upcoming campaigns, for Q4, we have 2 that we're focusing on right now. One is Autodesk's trade-in perpetual offer, and the other is going to be a custom campaign in a box that talks about the power of automation and how Dynamo can help automate workflows and increase the efficiency of routine tasks that are being done a lot in Revit. So keep your eyes out for those. As I mentioned, we are now doing the campaigns in a box as part of the Better Together program. So we are on track to do 2 to 3 per quarter, so really about 1 a month. And these campaigns in a box will include everything from, suggested email content, landing pages, social media, and graphics. And this is, like I said, really just meant to deliver you guys additional value to make sure that you have enough marketing content to generate leads and increase brand awareness. All of the materials are designed to be really easy to replicate on your own platforms and then co-brand the graphics. You can add your logos and then schedule. Like I said, if you do have any feedback or anything that you have questions about or are struggling with, please feel free to email me or call me, and I would love to be able to help. Because like I said, these really are all about you guys and making sure that it's as easy and seamless as possible. Since last month's focused on Fed, this upcoming one is going to be SLED, and like I said, that's going to be the BIM 360 for capital improvement projects. And as I mentioned before, you guys are really free to pick and choose whatever content is best. So if you only want to do an email, you can do that. If you want to do an email with a landing page and some social, you can do that. Really, all of it is just there for you to use in whatever way is most helpful and that you think is appropriate. So switching gears for a second, I wanted to do a quick reminder about GovDesignHub. First off, I wanted to say thank you to all of you. You guys have been really helpful with supplying us with great content. We've had a lot of new blogs go up, white papers, and a lot of events, especially webinars that people can register for. So that new content is added weekly, and we're seeing a lot of strong traffic growth month over month. So in September, we saw 1,500 users, and before that we were seeing closer to 1,000, so that's really great. And most of our visitors are new every month, meaning that they're coming to the site for the first time. So it's a really great way to make sure that we're putting the best content forward so that we can impress them and they hopefully want to come back or check out events or download white papers. So the content you guys do provide, like I said, it can either be a blog or it can be sort of premium custom content that is gated. And by that, I mean you would send us a white paper or an ebook or some other kind of really proprietary information that you want people to have access to, but not necessarily for free. And we would stand up a form that people would have to fill out in order to get access to that. And all of those leads would be captured, and then we can follow up on those to see if we can help convert them to either lead passes or making sales and whatnot. So it's a really great way to have another platform to showcase what you're doing and hopefully get in front of some new eyeballs. So we do have a few events upcoming for the remainder of the year. So I think as all of you are familiar with, we have Autodesk University, which is going to be November 17th through the 20th. This is virtual, and for the first time, it's going to be free. Since no one's going to be able to travel to Vegas this year, Autodesk is making it free to all attendees in hopes that more government clients who perhaps wouldn't have come in years past due to the amount of travel or the cost will be able to attend this time. DLT is going to have a virtual booth. We've got a silver sponsorship, and we would love to hear from all of you what you are doing for Autodesk University. If you do have plans or you want to partner on something, please reach out to me and we can talk through and see what's the best course of action when it comes to promoting that, social media or email sends, and how to make sure that we're all leveraging this to the best of our ability. The other event that we have coming up is the U.S. Green Building Council is hosting their annual Green Build Conference. And this is usually a really large in-person conference, but like everything else is virtual this year. So this is going to be a 3-day event focused on sustainable design and engineering and creating sustainable workplaces, buildings, and other facilities that people tend to spend a lot of time in. So we are not having a booth this year. Since we just joined the organization, we really just wanted to pay to register and attend so we can sort of see what the value would be so that in future years we can potentially have a booth or do some paid sponsorship. So with that, we'll have access to visiting other people's booths, attending sessions, keynotes, and then reporting back to all of you on the things that we notice and some opportunities and trends that we want to highlight so that in future events we can hopefully sponsor or exhibit to increase lead generation. And as just a reminder, these are the 4 organizations that DLT joined at the end of September, really to just increase brand awareness for us and all of you guys as our partners, and then connect with key decision makers in different areas of the public sector. So as I mentioned, the U.S. Green Building Council is really focused on sustainable design. It's architects, engineers, facility managers, really just looking to take buildings to that next energy efficient level. You see sort of those LEED certified buildings, and in order to meet those, you have to have really stringent standards when it comes to how energy is being used by the building, the materials that go into it. So that organization is really focused on that sustainable urban design community. We also joined the Society of American Military Engineers, which is focused on defense and national security. We're currently exploring their upcoming events for 2021 because those events would be really great ways to get in touch with key decision makers at the Department of State or DoD, and hopefully give them a better understanding of DLT and what we offer. We also joined the International Facility Management Association, which is for real estate facility managers, both publicly owned and privately owned. And then we also joined the American Public Works Association, and that one is focused on infrastructure and utilities. So for all of these, we're exploring upcoming conferences, webinars, advertising opportunities. So if any of you would like to get involved, and by that I mean, possibly run some paid ads, do some newsletter sponsorships, maybe sponsor a webinar or attend an event, please reach out to me so we can discuss and figure out, what's a good way to approach that. And that is all for my section. Kirk Divine is going to be speaking next on Autodesk's federal fiscal year wrap-up and what they're looking forward to in Q4. Kirk is Autodesk federal sales, and I'm going to hand the floor over to him.
All right, Kaylee, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right, thank you very much. Well, everyone, thank you for the opportunity to be here and speak with you today. Again, Kirk Divine. Hard to believe that next month will be the start of my 14th year with Autodesk, but it dims the facts. So first and foremost, I want to start off and really just say thank you to really this incredible team that we have, and just with the end of the federal fiscal year, I'm so thankful that it for at least for Autodesk, it doesn't correspond also with the end of a fiscal quarter, because that might be enough to kill us, but or kill me personally, just with the stress and things like that. But I always think of it's a sprint through the finish, but really it's a marathon in terms of the realities of the planning and execution. And it really is a team effort. I'm not going to sing. I went back and I was listening to the September Battlefield Call, and Jamie Jones sang to everyone, and you're welcome that I'm not going to sing. But just really very, very thankful for the collective teamwork here. I know it's long hours and compounded by the realities of this year and working from home and just kind of what that means and all the juggling and things like that. So it's really a chance to catch our breath a little bit. Certainly my management is intent on how we're going to finish the Autodesk Q3 and things like that. But really very, very pleased with the results that we drove going through the end of the federal fiscal year. While we're still tallying the results, I wanted to call out a few of the actions, and Megan, we can go to the next slide. I want to call out a few of the actions that really contributed to the performance. And as I said, it's a sprint, and really one of the keys there is just making sure that we're running through the finish line. And I think we really did that. It was There were a number of transactions that were really going on there right at the very end of the month. But the collective focus of the team was phenomenal to be able to really see everything through, and so that focus, and then the teamwork between all the various partners together with DLT, and hopefully the support you got from my team here at Autodesk. Really that's just critical to where we're able to end up. And my preliminary estimate is just looking at Q3 alone. Really looking at somewhere between 5 and 10% growth for the quarter year over year. In a year like this with the pandemic and all the disruption, I really see that as a huge victory, just to be able to see that kind of growth and get those kind of results. And so really that's a tribute to really the big team's collective efforts. All right, you can go to the next slide. One of the keys here is just there were, it seemed like, even though there was obviously moments, but there were a lot fewer surprises this year, and a lot less drama, I think, overall than there's been in some prior years, at least in my experience. And maybe I just wasn't a party to some of that, but it really just seemed like there was the execution was very strong. There was really a focus on big deals. Ron Burgundy there, yeah, he is a big deal, but by this I mean really there was a focus and just outstanding execution on the big renewals that we had, and some of the big new product subscription deals, and really felt like even better than ever before. We were locked in on all the steps that it was going to take, that lack of drama and lack of surprises wasn't an accident. I think it's just a very disciplined approach, and that was across the board, and really appreciated that. The second picture there is representative in my mind of the advanced manufacturing business, and really seeing even continuing just incredible strength in that market. I was talking to Blaine Duke here at Autodesk, and he was saying that over 57% of his business quarter to date in Q3 is new. And certainly you saw Kaylee speak to some of the campaigns that are being run, and a focus in this area. Year to date, 60% of Blaine's business is new, which is just phenomenal, because that's up from 40%, I think, in the last year, and 30% the year before that. So, I mean, just a kind of an incredible trend in an area that I'm going to call out. So, there were, the best practices here were just I think collectively we were really focused on the big opportunities, the big deals, and knew all the steps that we needed to be minding in seeing those deals through to completion, and kept our eye on that and drove them through. And then the advanced manufacturing business is something not only that I want to highlight as here as a part of our results in Q3, but I'm also going to speak to it in a couple of slides when we look forward to Q4. Now, that said, let me go to the next slide, Megan. We know we're better together, but there's still some things that we can do better. And one of the areas that I think we're all seeing, and I've talked to a number of my counterparts with various partners, and with the folks at DLT, and just the sub $10,000 new product subscription business is certainly well off where it was last year. And right now, with the information I have at this point in time, it's looking like we're going to end up at less than 80% of where we were last year. And again, maybe not too surprising given the economic conditions and the pandemic, and some of those things. But still, I mean, I think it's something that, as we're exiting, this federal fiscal year, and we're looking forward and planning for the things that we're going to do in this new one, it's an area that I want to look at, and am open to ideas that might come from all of you relative to things that we can do, whether it's small scale or big scale, that can help to address that. At the same time, and I'm still trying to get some statistics around the sub $5,000 renewals, but I know that the performance there was, again, off of what it's been previously. I can't quantify it just yet, but it's an area that I want to look at and just see if there's things we can do and apply some attention to it. And if it means the application of some additional resources, we'll take a look at that. And one of the things that Jamie, fortunately, he wasn't singing about it, but he did talk about it last month, were bluebirds and the big deals that happen, and certainly love when those come in. And there were no bluebirds on the menu here at the end of the federal fiscal year. I do believe that there's an element of luck there, but luck favors the prepared. And so, I mean, it's another area where I'll be working with my team, Adrian Nagel, John Ritling, Joseph Norrie, and Mark Hosking. We'll be working to determine what things can we do. Again, another area I'm open to feedback from everyone in terms of ideas on what we can do there, so that as our customers in the federal space get access to year-end monies, how we can make sure that they've got ample opportunity to spend that with us, both on our software and your services. So I think that's really of critical importance. But again, this is not to scold, but I just think that there's always a chance when we reflect on the end of a quarter or the end of a year to say, all right, let's assess what we did well and what we want to improve upon, because we going forward, we always have to be in growth mode. And I think that's especially important. So exiting Q3, going forward into Q4, I wanted to highlight just some of the areas that, and obviously we still have a couple of weeks left in Q3, but in here in October, at least Autodesk Q3. Then in the fourth quarter, and then looking out into next year, calendar year 2021. Hopefully, it's a better year than 2020 for all kinds of reasons. But between Megan and Kaylee, they highlighted some of the things that are available. The new ITEZ SW2 contract that's out there, the continuing resolution, the fact that there's some stability to federal spend at least through the December timeframe, because with the general election next month, we can predict there's going to be some disruptions and some upheaval. At least there's a potential for that. What does that mean in terms of how do we protect ourselves from that, our business from that? So I wrote down here, close early, close often, to borrow the old Chicago political meme. But I think it's imperative that we get off to a quick start in the month of November, and really go after as much business as we can and get it closed, just to guard against anything that might happen in the shadow of the elections on November 3rd and thereafter. And thinking of Chicago, I think of my good friend Bruce Milligan, and it was also mentioned previously, the engagement with White Lake Consulting. I think without question, the partnership that DLT has with Bruce and White Lake is bearing a lot of fruit, and is something I would encourage everyone to take advantage of. I've had the privilege of working with Bruce for many years. One of the first people I worked with at Autodesk back when I joined back in 2006. But really, what Bruce is bringing to the table is a very scalable approach to developing lead generation and pipeline, building pipeline, and then really being able then to help you close that and bring that to fruition and close that business. So really would strongly encourage everyone to take advantage of that. Certainly, my team knows well that there's a big focus on the future starts with selling new product subscriptions today, and so there'll be a big focus in Q4 on what we can do to add new product subscriptions to all the renewals that we have coming up, and the few where we have opportunities to sell new, to go after that. I was kind of going back and forth on I'm sure some of you may have questions about FedRAMP. Sadly, there's not a whole bunch of new news on the FedRAMP front. We continue to the investments are there on the Autodesk side. The news is a little bit light at this point. We're still addressing some of the key architectural issues in the solutions, but in future years, obviously that's going to be huge, and as a part of that new business is going to be huge. But right now, we need to obviously stay focused on what we can sell into the federal space and to drive forward with that. So focus on the solutions that we have and what we can sell, and then obviously your services that will make those things sticky and drive even new subscriptions on top of that. I mentioned the advanced manufacturing. Obviously, Kaylee mentioned some of the campaigns in a box, and some of those address advanced manufacturing. Really, with the just the strength we've seen there year to date, no reason not to expect that would continue going into the fourth quarter. And so we encourage those of you who haven't really stuck a toe in that water to go forward and explore those solutions, and because I think that's definitely net new conversation, or new conversations with net new potential users, and I think that's critical. And there was also earlier in the deck, DLT spoke to multi-user, and certainly there's an opportunity with multi-user indefinitely because of just the requirements of our federal customers, but at least through the end of the year, multi-user is available as well. And so there's that can be attractive for certain numbers of our customers. And if you have questions there, please reach out to the members of my team or to myself, and we can talk about those. But it's still critical for our business that we go forward there. But I am excited about where we are year to date. The fact that we grew, we've grown at least quarter to date, and said somewhere between 5 and 10% for Q3 year over year. And given the circumstances and some of the headwinds, I think that's really good results, and look forward to being able to continue that going forward into Q4, and really wrap up which hopefully for everyone is a bright spot, because of, I think that's one of the opportunities with our business in the government space, whether it's federal, state, and local, or education, is some of the investments that can be made in these areas despite some of the other economic headwinds. So with that, I want to thank everybody for your time, and I'm going to hand it back over to Megan.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kirk. And huge thanks to Kirk for joining us. And like he said, it couldn't have been a successful FFYE or Q3 without you guys. So we're really thankful for your partnership. And as always, my contact information is on the screen. So please let me know if there's anything that I can help you all with. But thanks so much for joining us.